When most of us think of the story of Pentecost, we imagine fire descending from above, tongues of flame, wind, a dramatic spiritual event, and perhaps it was all that. But I wonder if Pentecost is not only about fire coming down 2,000 years ago. Perhaps Pentecost is also about learning to see that the whole universe is burning with spirit and has been from the beginning. That's the vision of the heart of the readings today. Bruce Sanguine begins with these words: O Holy One, we gather to rediscover fire. Rediscover fire, not create it, not receive it, rediscover it. And where does this fire begin? Sanguine says it was kindled from the great radiance, love's bright beginning in time and space. Now that is a Pentecost image that I can get behind. The fire did not begin in Jerusalem. Fire began at the birth of the universe itself. The stars burned, galaxies formed, life emerged, consciousness awakened. And now, Sanguine says, that same fire is flaming forth in us. That is the heart of the universe story. Spirit is not separate from creation. Spirit moves through creation. The fire of Pentecost burns in stars and forests, in living creatures and in human hearts, in compassion, justice, creativity, and love. And if that is true, then Pentecost is not only about what happened once long ago. It is about awakening, really awakening to spirit shimmering within us and within the world around us. Our second reading takes this theme even further. Angelo Mano reflects on passages from Thomas Aquinas that deeply influenced her. Aquinas wrote, because the divine could not image itself in any one being, it created the great diversity of things so that the whole universe together would participate in and manifest the divine. What a profound realization. No single being or group can fully express the divine mystery. Not humans alone, not Christianity alone, not any one species. It takes the whole universe. Together, all creation reveals something of the divine. And this means diversity is not accidental. Diversity is sacred. Every species expresses a different facet of the holy. Or as Thomas Berry said, to wantonly destroy a living species is to forever silence a divine voice. A divine voice, not a resource, not a commodity, not raw material for human use, a voice. And then our second reading does something really beautiful. It gives voice to honeybee. And the bee says, besides my many benefits to humanity, I have intrinsic value in my own right. That line matters deeply because we live in a culture that constantly asks, what good is it? What use does it serve? How does it benefit us? But the bee says, my value does not depend only on usefulness. I matter because I exist. I participate in the sacred mystery of life. And I think Pentecost invites us into precisely this kind of vision, to see every being as carrying some expression of the divine. The fire of spirit burns in human beings, but not only in human beings. burns in bees and trees and oceans and sunlight and soil and stars and everything and everyone. One of the deepest spiritual crises of modern life is that we have learned to see the world primarily as object rather than presence. Forests become lumber, rivers become resources, animals become units of production. Even human beings become valued mainly for our productivity, usefulness, and consumption. We know how to measure things economically, but we're in the process of losing the ability to encounter them reverently. And when the world is stripped of sacred meaning, exploitation becomes easy. But Pentecost interrupts that way of seeing. The fire spirit burns through the illusion that creation is merely material for human use. Suddenly, the world becomes alive again, radiant with presence, dignity, and meaning. Earlier this spring, we reflected on Howard Thurman's experiences in nature. As a child, sitting beside a lagoon or his oak tree, Howard began to sense a presence moving through all things, not just around him, through them and through him. That awareness changed the way that he engaged with the world. And Pentecost changes engagement the same way. The disciples do not suddenly escape the world and go up to heaven. They suddenly see the world differently, and they suddenly live it differently. The world becomes alive with spirit. Their speech changes. Their fear loosens. Their hearts catch fire. This is what Pentecost means today, I think. Not only being filled by spirit from above, but becoming fully awake to the divine presence already moving through creation. Fully awake, not just with our thoughts, but with our bodies, our souls, and our bones. This changes how we live. If every being carries some expression of the sacred fire, then reverence becomes a way of life. We begin to walk more gently. We begin to listen more carefully. We begin to see that ecological destruction is not only environmental failure, it is also a failure of reverence. To poison the bee, destroy a species, strip the forests, or desecrate the waters, these are not merely technical problems. They're spiritual problems, because every species is a kind of language through which creation speaks. Every living being carries a note in the great song of the universe. And Pentecost invites us not only to hear that song again, but to join it with our lives, defending what is vulnerable, speaking truth where truth is needed, and living with reverence toward all beings. As St. Francis said, preach the gospel at all times, and if necessary, use words. The mystics often say that enlightenment is not seeing something new. It is seeing what's been there all along. And I think Pentecost is like that, a sudden awakening to the fire already burning at the heart of reality. Fire of creativity and belonging, compassion, justice, and love. The fire that began in love's bright beginning and still flames forth now in us. So may we become people of reverence. May we walk gently on the earth. May we protect the many voices of creation. And may Pentecost awaken us to this great truth that every being carries some expression of the divine mystery. the bee, the trees, the rivers, the stranger, ourselves, all alive with spirit, all worthy of reverence, and all part of the great song of creation. Amen, and blessed be.